Hello and welcome to Recruiting in Hospitality from caterer.com. I'm Lance Ryan as ever, and in each programme we invite top names from the world of hospitality to talk about matters affecting employers, so recruitment, development, retention, other matters that affect you and your teams. As you know, or maybe you don't, but I hope you do, caterer.com is a big supporter and sponsor of Be Inclusive Hospitality. We've spoken to Lorraine Copes before. Here she is. Say hello, Lorraine. Say hello now.
Hi.
Yeah, there. Good. Hello. We're catching up with her today to talk about the results of the annual report that they distribute. We're also going to talk about their new award, Spotlight Award. So it's very exciting stuff. Thanks for joining me, Lorraine.
No problem. Good to catch up again.
Yeah, absolutely, definitely. It's been the report, the Be Inclusive Hospitality annual report was released a few months ago.
It was, yeah.
Now, it shone a light really on the state of the industry from the perspective of people of colour.
Yeah.
Why? I was going to ask you why this survey is important now, and this might seem like a, like a redundant question, but why is it important to do it annually?
Yeah, it is. And I'll also just start by just correcting a point that people of all backgrounds and ethnicities complete the survey. What it's designed to be is capturing the current status quo within the industry. And the reason that it's conducted on an annual basis is because I believe that you ultimately measure what you manage, right? And or is it manage what you measure? Whichever it is.
Yeah, second one.
My hope is that year on year we see progress and improvements based on the experiences and views that we are capturing. And really importantly, I think it's also really important, and we've seen this happen over the 2 year period that we've run the survey, is that we use insights to inform action. So that's whether to inform our own initiatives to support upward social mobility or to do work within the diversity and inclusion space. The more focused we can get on what the core problems are and how they're affecting people within the sector, the more focused we can get on what those solutions might look like. So it's important on a number of levels, but I just hugely feel that we can all broadly recognize there's a problem, but better understanding that problem from people within the industry is a really important part that I want to continue to play with the research.
Absolutely. Let's talk a little bit about what results you've had and what you discovered in this particular report.
Yeah.
The report states that Black respondents are more likely or most likely to report that ethnicity has hindered their career progression.
Mm-hmm.
And that comes down slightly with Asian and mixed respondents.
Yeah.
And they reported the same, but still the
Yes.
results are there.
Yeah.
In contrast to that, there are just 7% of white respondents who agree.
Yeah.
So in real terms, what are the knock-on effects from this? How does it affect the individual?
Yeah.
One,
Yeah.
but also the face of the industry as a whole.
Yeah, of course. I mean, ultimately, the knock-on effect for the face of the industry is pretty much where we are here and now, which is that people of colour over-index within the industry as a percentage representation, but they're not visible in senior positions or positions of influence, including the supply chain. And so the knock-on effect is lack of true diversity and inclusion. So diversity being the measure, but inclusion being representation in career progression. That's one. The second that I'm not in a position to measure, this is me speculating, is there comes a point where you attempt to progress your career within a particular company, and actually you're more likely to leave if you don't access the career progression that you potentially work hard for, have the experience for, and should be able to access. So it will be leaving that company, potentially self-employed, leaving the industry altogether. It could be one of any three of those. And as I say, we don't have the data to support which it is. But what we do know is that it can only have a negative impact on the industry if people who are high performers, have the appropriate experience, attitude, but are not accessing their or not being able to develop their careers or businesses to the full potential off the back of bias and prejudice.
Is there a way you could possibly investigate that?
Well, the thing is, surveys can be hugely impactful, but I guess on the flip side of that, our survey respondents are self-selected. So they decide to complete the surveys independently. On one hand, our audience are definitely a type of person within the industry. They're either affected by our, ultimate game to accelerate change, or they're interested or want to support drive change because of who we are as a business. To get really prescriptive or to try and pinpoint that from those that do leave the industry or change employers, or all the things that I've mentioned, that is a possibility definitely to expand upon. And actually, we are, already in the process of talking about the survey to go live in November, and we're currently in the process of seeking out partners, sort of data analytic reporting partners, so that we can, again, go bigger and better than we did last year, and just evolve, improve the insights, because that's what it's about. It's how we capture as much insights as possible that we can all use to drive change.
Yeah, absolutely. How do people of colour get more support in their careers in hospitality? What is there that can be done simply and straight away?
Yeah. Well, I think that the first thing that needs to happen is that there has to be recognition that there is currently not currently an uneven playing field within the industry. I think that's the first thing that needs to be acknowledged. Once that's acknowledged, then businesses should put equitable initiatives in place that help to level the playing field, of which some employers are doing, such as looking at their development schemes, ensuring that there are representative members of their team on those development schemes to help them move forward to management or director level. I think that in the really short and immediate term, the one thing that all employers can do, and it doesn't cost them a thing, is to make it crystal clear of what's acceptable or not within their organization, right? Because when we talk about career progression being hindered, this isn't invisible to anyone within the organization if you are actually tracking, monitoring, measuring progress of your employees. So I would say that it absolutely is a long-term game. It really is, in terms of getting clear on the fact that there's a problem, what it is that you want to achieve, and then putting all the building blocks in between to ensure that that's achieved. At the very start, it's acknowledging that and expressing really clearly that it's not acceptable, but then it's around how do you close that gap? And if you think about closing a gap in any instance, it requires the same method, the same approach, which is there have to be initiatives and tools that accelerate that gap closing. And what that looks like can vary from business to business.
Sure, absolutely. Do you think that new methods of recruitment need to be brought in? And if so,
Yeah.
what does it look like?
Yeah. And I'll start by saying I don't at all pretend to be a recruitment expert, as I sit here talking to you about this. And I often refer to principles within the kind of corporate business world, which is where I've spent 20 years of my career. And but from a real common sense and practical perspective, if you do what you always do, you always get what you always get, right? And I think that often I've had conversations with businesses and they've said, oh, I recruit on LinkedIn or other means of recruiting, but actually they're getting the same types of candidates. So what else can be done here in terms of diversifying the pool of people that you're actually accessing? I think really importantly, though, is this, that recruitment is one part of the puzzle, a very big puzzle, because you can access diverse candidates, but if you don't have the appropriate infrastructure, initiatives, and education within your business, you'll still get the same people coming through and getting the jobs. So it has to be a joined up approach with who your team are, what they understand to be business, business priorities and what's important, and the two interlinking.
Yeah, definitely. That's, for someone who's not in recruitment, that's a really good answer. It's brilliant. It's brilliant.
A common sense.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. Okay. I'm not going to slag off employees because it's nothing to slag off. It's just,
Yeah.
you can implement change. So where can people get a copy of the report?
So the report is available on our website to download. Our website address is www.bihospitality.co.uk. You'll find 3 reports available, but this report is available to download for free. To date, it's been downloaded at last check over 500 times, and this is throughout the UK, Europe, and the US, Africa, South America, really far and wide actually. And the common thread is of occupations are definitely CEOs, MDs, HR directors, usually generally senior decision makers within businesses that are downloading the report, which is positive.
That's terrific. Well, hopefully more people will see this and you'll get even more downloads. So let's hope that. Right, let's talk about the big glitzy event that's coming up later this year.
Yeah.
The Be Inclusive Hospitality Spotlight Awards
Yeah.
have just been announced for later this year.
Yeah.
Where did the idea for this come from? I mean, there are lots of industry awards.
Yeah, there are.
What makes these different?
Yeah. So this idea came to actually in our first year. I was really keen to ensure that whilst we absolutely do support upward social mobility, whether that is through mentorship, through workshops, through scholarships, the well-being arm of that key pillar of our business is equally as important. And by well-being, I mean that, as you know, and we've talked about this in the past, I've been in the industry for 20 years. And over the 20 years, I've worked in procurement, so very outward facing, attended every awards ceremony that there is within the industry. And my experience and personal view is that the hospitality industry often has a really narrow view of what excellence looks like and is. And our awards is launched to recognize, excellent, brilliant individuals or businesses who are within the industry and are of colour, and it's specifically designed to be the case because in my 20 years throughout my career, I've never seen a specific industry award recognising African food businesses or recognising or recognising Caribbean food businesses. Doesn't exist. And so when I look back over my 20 years in the industry, and I have stumbled across many phenomenal chefs and restaurants from those backgrounds and origins. So if there's no industry award to recognise them and they don't necessarily fit into a box of what excellence looks like, for large proportions of the sector, then they don't get recognised, and that's hugely problematic.
Yeah, good, brilliant. That's exciting for a start. I mean, that's brilliant that you're going to address that. You've got some really good categories there. When I read through the category list, I got really excited.
Yeah.
How did you arrive at that final list? It must have been tough.
It
And
was.
why do you think in these particular
Yeah.
categories? I mean, you've just touched on it there. But
Yeah.
why do you think that those particular categories you come up with
Yeah.
are important to celebrate?
It did take us a while to come up with, and I think that there were 2 things. I thought it was really important to recognise the specific cuisines for some of our community. But secondly, I thought it was equally as important to recognise just experts within the field. So brilliant chefs, brilliant drinks professionals, amazing pubs, amazing bars. And our starting point was really looking at the demographic of our community and the occupations that are made up. So we have a proportion of our community are in head office roles. We have about 25% chefs. We have sommeliers, we have bartenders, we have bar owners, we have restaurant business owners. And our starting point was really, how can we best represent the industry in its entirety? Now, what I do know to be true for sure is there'll be a function that is missed or someone that doesn't feel seen, but I didn't want to end up in a position where we had 30 categories. I think this is very much our first year. It's our it's not a sit down gala, so it's in a nice bar with canapes, drinks, amazing celebration. We were just keen to do the awards, and so I'm sure there'll be learnings that we take from this year that we'll bring on to next. But this is just our starting point, and it started with the demographic of the community.
Great, honestly, that's really, really good. There's an award called the Rising Star Award.
Yes.
Why is this particular one so special?
You know what? It's so funny you ask that, because that excites me the most, that award. And the funny thing is that was added literally like at the 11th hour.
Right.
And it excites me the most because there are some really excellent people that I have come across either on social media or who've joined the community, who were not only relatively young in age, but just new to the industry, irrespective of their age, that are doing phenomenal things. And they are the future of everything that we as an organization stand for, and it really excites me because awards are about supporting visibility, creating a spotlight, and really amplification of brilliant people that exist within the industry. And if we can play a part in helping to shine that spotlight on the future, next either amazing chef or sommelier or restaurant in the industry, then we're very, very happy with that.
When and where are the awards taking place, Lorraine?
Yes. So when the awards are taking place on the 24th of April, 24th of April. The awards are taking place on the 24th of October of this year. They will be held at Percy's Kensington, which is a bar. And it will be, as I say, an evening celebration starting at 6:30. Tickets will go on sale within the next 2 weeks. Yeah.
So, and then people can go to your website to get tickets?
They will be able to go to our website in literally 2 weeks to buy tickets. But in the meantime, if you have any friends, any peers, or any family members that are eligible for these awards, please do nominate them. We're really keen to ensure that people are recognised throughout the country for doing brilliant things within the industry and helping to keep it buoyant and alive and thriving.
Fantastic. And if people want to get involved in the work of Be Inclusive Hospitality generally, tell us how.
I mean, we're on all social media platforms, but the easiest and quickest way is probably via our website, which I mentioned earlier. Also by just emailing us at contact@bihospitality.co.uk.
Brilliant. Lorraine, again, it's been a joy talking to you. It really has. I love the answers you give. You're just so succinct and wonderful and insightful as well. So thank you very much for that. If you've enjoyed this conversation, why not subscribe to Recruiting in Hospitality from caterer.com? Just wherever you get your podcast, just hit that subscribe button so you can be the first to hear new episodes and see them. We're on YouTube now. Unfortunately, I have to put up with my mug. That's the downside, but the rest of it's brilliant views from across the industry. Follow us on Twitter at caterer.com. That's caterer, DOTCOM. Likewise on Instagram. Follow us on LinkedIn, and we're on Facebook now. We're not on TikTok yet, but trust me, we'll get there. We'll get there. I'll leave my 12-year-old daughter to tell me how it works, which I don't. We'll get there. I've been Lancelot Narayan, and Lorraine, again, thank you so much indeed for talking to me today. It's been great. It's been great. Thanks so much, and join us next time on Recruiting in Hospitality. Thanks a lot. Bye-bye.